Scorpio, close your eyes for a moment and feel this. There is someone in your life who is about to be removed from it by a force much greater than the two of you. It's not you who will make this decision. It's not this person who will choose to leave. It's a divine intervention already in motion, rearranging the pieces of your emotional chessboard with a surgical precision that only you will understand after it all happens. As you read these words, this separation is already being orchestrated behind the scenes of your reality. Signals are being sent. Circumstances are aligning. The universe is setting the stage to remove from your life someone you believe is important, but who is actually preventing you from accessing your true greatness. And the most intense part of all this is that, at the moment it happens, you may even feel pain. You may even resist. You may even try to fight to keep this person close. But deep down, in the deepest place of your Scorpio soul, you will know that this is exactly what needs to happen. God doesn't remove people from our lives out of cruelty. He removes them out of radical love, out of extreme protection, out of wisdom that transcends our limited understanding of the present moment. And you, Scorpio, with all your intensity and ability to delve into the depths of human connection, are about to experience this divine protection in a way that will forever transform your understanding of relationships, self-love, and personal destiny. What I'm about to reveal will stir every fiber of your being. It will touch wounds you didn't even know you had. It will illuminate patterns you've been repeating without realizing it. It will expose truths about this person that you've been avoiding seeing. And in the end, when the dust settles and you can see the bigger picture, you will whisper a thank you to the heavens, understanding that what seemed like a loss was actually the greatest liberation of your life. Scorpio, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? There's someone in your life right now who drains your energy almost imperceptibly. Someone you love, care about, and protect, but who also exhausts you without a clear explanation. It could be a romantic partner who can never provide the emotional depth you need. It could be a friend who always shows up when you need something, but disappears when you need support. It could be a family member who uses your love and loyalty to subtly manipulate you. Or it could be someone you admire, who puts you on a pedestal, but who never truly recognizes your worth. This person carries an energy that doesn't match yours, but you've been trying to force harmony because you believe love means constant sacrifice. You've been accepting crumbs of affection when you should be receiving feasts of devotion. You've given your emotional intensity to someone who can't even comprehend the depth of what you offer. And God, seeing you squander your precious light, decided to intervene. The coming removal is not punishment. It's liberation. It's not loss. It's gain. It's not the end. It's the beginning. God will create situations, coincidences, revelations, and circumstances that will make it impossible for this person to continue occupying the energetic space that should be reserved for someone truly deserving of your magnificence. And when this happens, you may initially feel as if a part of you is being ripped away. Because that's exactly what's happening. The part of you that has grown accustomed to accepting less than you deserve is being removed along with this person. You'll understand that what you called love was actually a sophisticated form of self-sabotage. That what you considered loyalty was actually a fear of being alone. That what you thought was emotional depth was actually dependence disguised as intimacy. Scorpio, the person God will remove from you is someone who has never been able to see your true essence. Someone who relates to the superficial version of you, to the mask you created to be more palatable, more acceptable, easier to love. But your soul was not made to be palatable. It was made to be transformative. It was not made to be acceptable. It was made to be unforgettable. It was not made to be easy to love. It was made to be impossible to forget. For years, you may have tried to become lighter, simpler, more uncomplicated to fit this person's emotional limitations. You may have hidden your intensity so as not to scare them. You may have toned down your passion so as not to intimidate them. You may have suppressed your truth so as not to upset them, and in all these moments of self-betrayal, a part of your soul died a little. A part of your flame was extinguished. A part of your magic was lost. God saw this happening and said, "Enough." He saw you becoming a diluted version of yourself and decided it was time for you to reclaim your full potential. He saw you wasting your transformative capacity on someone who doesn't want to be transformed and decided to release that power to be used where it can truly make a difference. He saw you surrendering your depth to those who can only navigate the surface and chose to redirect that depth to where it can truly be valued. The upcoming separation will hurt. I won't lie to you about that. Because you, Scorpio, don't love half-heartedly. When you connect with someone, you connect with every cell of your being. When you give yourself completely. When you choose someone, you choose with your entire soul. So when that person is removed from your life, you'll feel like you're losing a part of yourself. But here's the truth that only you will understand later. You won't be losing a part of yourself. You'll be recovering all the parts you gave to someone who never knew how to properly care for them. All the parts of your energy that were trapped in a dynamic that didn't serve you. All the parts of your heart that were being wasted on someone who couldn't reciprocate with the same intensity. When God removes this person from you, something will happen that Scorpios know well, but rarely experience consciously. You will go through a process of emotional death and rebirth. The version of you that depended on this connection to feel complete will die, and in its place will be born a version that is complete in itself, that doesn't need external validation to know its own worth, that doesn't sacrifice its essence to maintain relationships that drain its vitality. The incredible reason God is doing this isn't just to free you from someone who doesn't serve you, it's to prepare you for someone who can love you with all your intensity. Someone who isn't scared by your depth, but dives into it with you. Someone who doesn't try to diminish you to feel bigger, but grows with you. Someone who doesn't shy away from your complexity, but is fascinated by each layer they uncover. But before that person arrives, you need to remember who you truly are without the limitations this current connection imposes on you. You need to regain confidence in your own perceptions. You need to reconnect with your intuition about people and situations. You need to reconnect with your natural ability to discern who deserves your energy and who is simply taking advantage of your emotional generosity. Scorpio, you have a unique ability to see through people's masks. You can perceive hidden motivations, true intentions, the true essence behind appearances. But when you become emotionally attached to someone, this clarity becomes clouded. You start seeing what you want to see instead of what's really there. You start inventing depth where there's only surface. You start projecting reciprocity where there's only exploitation. The person you're about to leave has benefited from this tendency. They've learned that you're capable of creating illusory intimacy, imagining connections that don't exist, sustaining one-sided relationships indefinitely. And consciously or unconsciously, they've used this to their advantage, receiving all your intensity without having to reciprocate. When God removes this person from your life, you will regain your capacity for emotional discernment. You will trust your perceptions of people again. You will stop giving the benefit of the doubt to those who don't deserve it. You will begin to demand real reciprocity instead of accepting crumbs disguised as love. And most importantly, you will understand that your intensity is not a flaw that needs to be hidden, but a superpower that should be shared only with those who can properly honor it. The process of drifting apart has already begun, even if you haven't yet noticed all the signs. Small disagreements that you once resolved easily now become longer arguments. Moments of silence that were once comfortable now carry an inexplicable tension. Conversations that once flowed naturally now feel forced. The energy between you has shifted, and you both feel it, even if neither of you fully understands what's happening. This person may begin to behave more distantly, more irritably, and more critically. They may begin to point out flaws in you that never bothered them before. They may begin to question aspects of your personality that have always been part of who you are. This is no coincidence. It's the universe creating natural friction to facilitate the separation that needs to happen. You may also start to feel more restless in this relationship. You may begin to notice things that have always been there, but that you ignored because you wanted the relationship to work. You may begin to wonder why you're always the one making the most effort, the one adapting more, the one sacrificing more. You may begin to question whether this person truly sees and values you, or if they've simply grown accustomed to your presence and dedication. These doubts aren't self-sabotage. They're your intuition finally overcoming your need to maintain connection at any cost. They're signs that you're internally preparing for the liberation that's coming. Your subconscious already knows what your conscious mind is still reluctant to accept. This person isn't your person. Scorpio, when the breakup finally happens, you'll go through a few distinct phases. First, you'll feel anger. Anger at the situation, anger at the person, anger at yourself for having invested so much in something that didn't work out. This anger is sacred. It's your life force refusing to accept less than you deserve. Don't repress this anger. Use it as fuel for your transformation. After anger comes sadness, a deep oceanic sadness that will touch parts of you you didn't even know were hurt. You will mourn not only the loss of this specific person, but the loss of all the future versions you had imagined with them. You will mourn lost naivete, broken trust, and time invested in something that wasn't real. This sadness is also sacred. It's your soul processing the pain and preparing for healing. And after the sadness will come clarity. A clarity so intense, so absolute, that you'll wonder how you managed to remain blind for so long. You'll see all the red flags you ignored. You'll understand all the signs you misread. You'll realize all the times you betrayed your own intuition to maintain the illusion. And with this clarity will come a profound gratitude for the divine intervention that saved you from wasting even more energy on a connection that was never meant to last. The incredible reason God is doing this to you will unfold in layers. The first layer is protection, protecting you from continuing to invest in someone who isn't capable of adequately reciprocating. The second layer is preparation, preparing you to recognize and receive the kind of love you truly deserve. The third layer is evolution, forcing you to evolve beyond the limited patterns that have governed your relationships. But there's a fourth, deeper layer that only Scorpios can fully understand. God is taking you away from this person so you can rediscover your own power, so you can stop seeking completeness in external connections and find completeness within yourself, so you can understand that your intensity doesn't need external validation to be valuable. So you can understand that you are whole in and of yourself, and that relationships should complement your wholeness, not attempts to fill internal voids. When you understand this, truly understand it, not just intellectually, but in every cell of your being, you will become irresistible in a whole new way. Not because you're trying to attract someone, but because you're completely comfortable with yourself. Not because you're performing intimacy, but because you're genuinely connected to your own essence. Not because you're faking depth, but because you're living from your natural depth. And that's where the magic happens. When you stop looking for love and start radiating self-love, you attract people who can love you back with the same intensity. When you stop trying to be interesting and simply show interest in life, you attract genuinely interesting people. When you stop trying to be loved and simply love yourself, you attract authentic love. The person God is removing from you could never love you properly because you weren't loving yourself properly. You were trying to be lovable instead of loved. You were trying to be useful instead of valued. You were trying to be needed instead of wanted, and you attracted someone who took advantage of this energy of neediness, disguised as generosity. But now that this person is being removed, you have the opportunity to heal this fundamental wound, to learn to relate from abundance rather than scarcity. to choose people who enrich your life rather than those who need to be sustained by your energy, to create connections based on mutual attraction rather than mutual need. Scorpio, in the coming days, weeks, or months, depending on how long the universe needs to orchestrate the perfect separation, pay close attention to the signs. Notice how you feel in this person's presence. Pay attention to whether the chemistry that existed before still exists, or if it's now just habit and familiarity. Notice whether conversations still energize you or drain you. Notice whether you still feel seen and valued, or if you feel like you're constantly trying to prove yourself. These signs will prepare you emotionally for the upcoming separation. They'll help you understand that what's about to happen isn't a tragedy, but a liberation. That you're not losing something valuable, but rather ridding yourself of something that was preventing you from accessing what truly matters. And when this is all over, when the dust settles, when you can see the bigger picture, you'll understand that what seemed like fate's cruelty was actually the greatest kindness you could ever receive. That what seemed like punishment was actually protection. That what seemed like an end was actually a beginning. God doesn't distance you from people to make you suffer. He distances you from people to make room for those who can make you flourish. He doesn't remove connections to leave you alone. He removes inappropriate connections so you can attract true connections. He doesn't break relationships to break you. He breaks relationships that were breaking you without you realizing it. And the right person, they're coming. They're being prepared for you, just as you're being prepared for them. They're learning to recognize and value emotional intensity. They're developing the ability to dive into the depths without drowning. They're becoming someone who not only tolerates your complexity, but celebrates it. When you meet, there will be no need for explanations or justifications. There will be no need to diminish or adapt. You will recognize each other immediately, not because you are the same, but because you are truly complementary. Because you can dance together without anyone having to lead all the time. Because you can create intimacy without losing your individuality. Because you can be profound together without losing yourself in each other. But for that to happen, you need to trust the process that's unfolding now. You need to allow God to remove from your life whoever needs to be removed. You need to resist the temptation to fight to maintain connections that the universe is trying to dissolve. You need to understand that sometimes the most radical love is letting go. Scorpio, your ability to love intensely is a gift, not a curse. Your need for deep connections is a strength, not a weakness. Your ability to transform and be transformed in relationships is a superpower, not a problem. But all of this needs to be directed towards someone who can receive, process, and reciprocate it appropriately. The person being pushed away from you didn't have those capabilities, and it's not their fault, just as it's not yours. You simply weren't compatible on a fundamental level. But you kept trying to force compatibility because you confused intensity with intimacy, familiarity with depth, need with love. Now, you will have the opportunity to learn the difference, to understand that intensity without reciprocity is exhaustion, that familiarity without mutual growth is stagnation, that need without mutual admiration is dependence. And when you learn these distinctions, you'll never again accept relationships that drain your vital energy. You'll never again confuse drama with passion. You'll never again interpret emotional instability as depth. You'll never again give your loyalty to those who don't demonstrate they deserve it through consistent actions. The separation God is orchestrating is an initiation, a passage from one level of relationship to another, a graduation from the school of lack-based love to the university of abundance-based love. And when you graduate from this university, you will attract and create connections you can't even imagine now. So, when a breakup happens, don't fight it. Don't try to convince that person to stay. Don't humiliate yourself by trying to prove your worth to someone who has already shown they can't see it. Instead, be grateful. Be grateful for the lesson. Be grateful for the opportunity to grow. Be grateful for the divine protection that is saving you from wasting more energy on something that was never meant to last. And most importantly, give thanks in advance for what's coming. For the love that finds you in its full intensity. For the connection that doesn't need to be forced because it flows naturally. For the person who isn't afraid of your depth because they have their own depth. For the relationship that doesn't drain your energy because it's built on genuine reciprocity. All of this is coming, Scorpio. But first, God needs to clear the space. He needs to remove those who don't serve to make room for those who do. He needs to free you from habit-based connections so you can create connections based on conscious choice. He needs to break limiting patterns so you can set higher standards. Trust the process. Trust the protection. Trust the wisdom that moves all the pieces on the board of your emotional life. And most importantly, trust that you deserve a love that not only tolerates your intensity, but is nourished by it. A love that doesn't dim your light, but shines alongside it. A love that isn't afraid of your depths, but dives into them with you. This love is coming, and when it does, you'll understand perfectly why God had to remove all the people who couldn't love you properly. You'll understand that every painful separation was preparing you for the connection that will make it all worthwhile. You'll understand that you weren't being punished, but protected. You weren't being rejected, but redirected. And then finally, you will whisper that thank you to the heavens, knowing that the divine intervention that seemed cruel at the time was actually the greatest act of love you could ever receive. If this message touched your heart in a way you can't explain, it's because your soul recognized the truth in it. Share in the comments if you're already feeling signs that a major separation is approaching in your life. Your experiences will help other Scorpios understand that they're not alone in this process. Subscribe to the channel now, because this separation is just the first step in a much larger transformation taking place in your emotional life. You'll need guidance on how to navigate the stages of grief, how to recognize and break limiting patterns, and how to prepare to receive the love you truly deserve. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any guidance that can support you in this phase of profound renewal. God doesn't remove people from your life to hurt you. He removes them to heal you. And the healing that's coming will be so profound, so transformative, so liberating, that you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Get ready, because your true emotional life is about to begin.